You know how they say, if he wanted to, he would. Well, when a guy is deeply in love, the very first way you see that, before the big gestures, the fancy dates, even before he said, "I love you," is in the way he texts you. And I mean right from the beginning of the day. When a man is truly in love, he doesn't just text you. He reaches out like he needs to, like starting the day without knowing you're okay, or without that little connection, feels incomplete. He can't help but text first. You don't have to sit around wondering, should I wait 15 more minutes? Should I double text? Did I say too much last night? No. That tension doesn't exist when someone's genuinely in it with you. When a guy's heart is fully in, he's not trying to win some texting game. He's not calculating how long he should wait before replying. He's not trying to be mysterious. He texts first because the thought of you hit his mind the moment he woke up, and he just wants to share that moment with you. And I want to be clear, this isn't about love bombing. This isn't about someone who floods your phone just to prove a point or play a role. No. I'm talking about that steady, grounded, consistent energy. He checks in because he wants to be part of your world. That daily rhythm of reaching out becomes his natural setting. You become his peace, his dopamine, his favorite part of the routine. Now, here's the kicker. When a guy's really into you, he doesn't even realize how quickly he's texting back. You ever notice that? Like you'll hit send, and before you've even locked your phone, you get that typing bubble. That little dot of devotion. Why? Because you've become a priority. Because his mind is already tuned into you. When he's deeply in love, it's like you live in the background of his thoughts, so replying to you doesn't interrupt his day. In fact, adds to it. Some women get confused in the early stages and say, well, he's probably just busy. And sure, people have jobs, responsibilities, entire lives. But someone who's truly invested in you will make sure you feel important, even in between meetings, on bad days, during errands. It might not always be paragraphs, but it'll be something. A little voice note, a heart emoji. Today's crazy, but I'm thinking about you. That effort is a window into where his heart's at. And listen, the way he texts is not just about what he says. It's how he says it. Sometimes it's something totally random, a meme, a tweet, a screenshot of a song he's listening to. Other times, it's just him sharing a dumb story that made him laugh. And you know what that really means? It means you're the first person he thinks to share things with. That's intimacy. That's emotional connection. That's him, in his own quiet way, saying, "You live in my inner circle now." I've seen so many people misread this part of the relationship. They look at frequent texting and go, "Oh, he's just being sweet right now." Or, "He's probably like this with everyone." But no. Consistency is not a fluke, it's a sign. Especially when it lasts. When weeks go by and he's still showing up in your messages like clockwork. Not out of obligation, not because he has to, but because being close to you, even through a screen, is something he actively wants. And then there's the timing. It's not just about him being available during slow hours. You'll see him checking in at weird times. Before a big meeting, after a long shift, even when he's exhausted. Why? Because being in love doesn't operate on convenience. It doesn't wait until everything's perfect and free. It's present. And when a man's really in love, the text doesn't say, "You up?" at 11:45 p.m. It says, "Thinking of you. Hope you're resting." It's thoughtful. It's timely. And it respects your presence, not just your availability. This is also where we see emotional bravery kick in. a man who's all in. He's not afraid to go first, not just with initiating texts, but with affection, with showing interest, with vulnerability. He doesn't fear looking too eager. That fear only shows up when someone's unsure, half in, half out, trying to maintain control. But love makes a man give up control in the best way. He'll say things like, "I miss you already," right after you hang out, not to manipulate you, but because it's simply true. Now, is he perfect with texting? No. Will he always respond with the most eloquent, poetic message? Absolutely not. But the point is, when a man's deeply in love, you feel it in the way he shows up. There's a presence, a rhythm, a softness that comes through even the simplest messages. He's not performing, he's just present. And that presence, that consistent, genuine, thoughtful energy over text, that's the first place you see love doing what it does best, showing up. One of the most telling signs that a man is deeply in love is not just that he texts you, it's how quickly he texts you back. And not just when the conversation is interesting or flirty, or when you've sent him a cute selfie. No, I'm talking about those completely ordinary, borderline boring messages. The "just got home from work" or "I'm eating pasta again" texts. The kind of things you wouldn't even screenshot for your friends because there's nothing juicy in them, and yet he replies fast, thoughtfully, with genuine interest. That's when you know. Because it's not about how exciting the text is, it's about how important the person sending it is to him. You could say anything, absolutely anything, and he finds a way to respond in a way that keeps the connection going. He's not waiting for something thrilling to happen to engage. He's engaged because it's you. See, when a guy's really in love, he doesn't put his effort into performing. He puts it into presence. That means when your message pops up, even if it's a random update about your day, his instinct isn't to delay or ignore it until something better comes along. His instinct is to respond, because hearing from you lights something up in him. He doesn't need a reason to be excited about the conversation. You are the reason. And I know what some people are thinking. Well, isn't that just what happens at the start? The honeymoon phase. But I want you to notice the difference between excitement and consistency. Excitement fades. Consistency reveals what's real. And when a man's in love, that consistency shows up even on the slow days. The days when you're not particularly interesting. The days when your texts don't come with an invite, a picture, or a punchline. Even then, he's there. Present, available, responsive. It's such a subtle shift that most people overlook it. Because we're conditioned to believe that fast replies are needy or desperate. But let me tell you something. When someone is emotionally invested in you, replying quickly isn't desperation. It's of devotion. It's a quiet form of care that says, "You matter to me, and I'm making space for you," even when there's nothing major going on. It's funny how many people don't know how to receive that. We've been taught to expect emotional distance. We've been told to read into delays, to measure our worth based on someone's response time. But when a guy is all in, he breaks those rules. Suddenly, you don't have to analyze every message. You don't have to wait hours wondering if you said something wrong. Because when he's deeply in love, he's not trying to keep you guessing. He's trying to make you feel safe. That safety shows up in texts that say, "Just saw this and thought of you," or "Did you get home okay?" The small things that tell you you're on his mind, even when he's not physically there. That's the thing. Deep love doesn't just show up when it's convenient. It shows up when it's quiet, when there's no spotlight, when no one's watching. And it shows up consistently. Now, fast replies aren't about being glued to your phone. That's not what I'm saying. Everyone has a life, a job, responsibilities. But even in the middle of a hectic day, there's a difference between "I'll get back to her when I can" and "let me just take 10 seconds to let her know I'll reply soon." That effort, that intention, means everything. It says, "You're not an afterthought. You're woven into the fabric of my day." And there's something else I want you to notice. When a guy's really in love, he doesn't just respond fast. He responds with warmth. He puts real energy into what he sends. Even the shortest replies feel alive. You say, "I'm so tired." And he doesn't just say, "Lol, same." He says, "You've been going nonstop. Can you take a break soon?" Or, "Wish I could come rub your shoulders right now." It's those little things. The effort to connect. The desire to show care even through a screen. Because here's what love does. It turns the ordinary into something sacred. When a man is truly in it, texting you isn't just a form of communication. It's a way of being with you when he can't physically be there. It's his way of saying, "You're in my thoughts, you're part of my world, and I'm not letting this moment pass without making sure you know that." And when you feel that, when your phone lights up, and it's not about what he said, but how consistently and intentionally he shows up, you'll know. You'll feel that difference. Because it's not about how fast the text came through. It's about what that speed says about where his heart is. That kind of love doesn't rush. It prioritizes. When a man is deeply in love, something starts to shift in the way he expresses himself, especially over text. It's subtle at first. Maybe he softens the way he types. Maybe he starts using more punctuation. Maybe a heart emoji sneaks into the conversation. And you might find yourself wondering, wait, is this the same guy who used to text like he was writing a grocery list? Yes, it is. But something's changed. Love has this beautiful way of making even the most composed, emotionally guarded guys just a little softer, a little more tender. Suddenly, he's sending you messages that sound less like a robot and more like someone who's letting their walls come down. And not because he's trying to impress you. Not because he's following some dating rulebook. But because you make him feel safe enough to show that side of himself. One of the most obvious ways this shows up, the tone of his texts. Maybe he used to be that yo or K kind of guy. Short, efficient, minimal. But now, it's babe, sweetheart, my girl. Or maybe he gives you a ridiculous little nickname that only makes sense to the two of you. You send a sleepy selfie in bed, and now you're his cozy panda. It's weird. It's kind of dumb. But it's yours. And you can tell it's coming from a place that's deeply affectionate. And then come the emojis. The same man who once said, "I don't really do emojis," is now texting you like. He's got a favorite heart color. He uses the puppy eyes. He's dropping, like it's the only punctuation he knows. And it's not performative. It's that when he talks to you, he doesn't feel the need to be guarded anymore. He doesn't care about being cool. He cares about being close. That's what love does. It melts away the edges. It removes the pressure to sound a certain way or stick to a certain image. And over text, where it's so easy to hide, love invites him to show up more honestly. The guard drops. The tone shifts. He lets more warmth into the space between your messages. You'll notice that even his language becomes more emotionally expressive. Instead of saying, "Nice seeing you," He says, "I didn't want to leave." Instead of "that was fun," he says, "being with you just feels right." These aren't just cute lines. They're emotional breadcrumbs. They're pieces of a man who is stepping into vulnerability. And that's not easy. For a lot of men, expressing emotion, especially in writing, has been something they've learned to suppress. So when you start getting those heartfelt texts, that's not just love talking. That's courage. That's someone choosing closeness over coolness. Even the cadence of how he texts you begins to change. He might start sending longer messages, or he breaks one thought into 3 texts because he's not trying to package things perfectly. He just wants to talk to you. He's not editing himself anymore. He's not holding back. When something sweet pops into his mind, he says it. When he misses you, he types it. When he feels lucky to have you, you'll see it. Sometimes in the middle of a conversation that wasn't even romantic. Because when a man is deeply in love, he stops needing a moment to say something meaningful. The moment is you. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to reflect how much he feels. So even during a casual chat about your day, he might slide in something that hits you right in the heart. You know, hearing your voice earlier made everything feel better. Simple, undramatic, but real. And don't underestimate how powerful those little, corny moments are. The ones that make you laugh or blush or cringe just a little. That's how you know he's comfortable being playful with his affection. He'll say things like, "I'm addicted to your smile," or, "Warning, I'm going to spoil you one day." And you'll smile at your phone like an idiot because it's so clearly him leaning in. That's the key. When a man's deeply in love, he leans in emotionally, even over text. He stops resisting the pull to be soft, to be open, to be warm. And instead of worrying whether it's too much, he trusts that being authentic is what draws you closer. And that's exactly what it does. Because suddenly, you're not just texting someone who likes you. You're texting someone who's not afraid to show it. You see it in the pet names, the emojis, the silly inside jokes, the unexpectedly heartfelt lines, and maybe even in the way he types, "I miss you," with 3 U's and no shame. He's not trying to be a poet. He's trying to be present. And love has made him brave enough to be soft in front of you. That's when you know it's real. When a man stops texting like he's just filling time and starts texting like he's building something. Something honest, something tender, something he doesn't want to lose. One of the more subtle, almost unconscious signs that a man is falling hard, deeply, emotionally, undeniably in love, is in the way he begins to mirror you. And I don't just mean in a psychological, textbook kind of way. I mean over text, in the tiniest details that most people overlook. The emojis he uses, the language he picks up, even the tone and rhythm of his replies. Somehow, it starts to sound a lot like you. It's one of those things that creeps up naturally. You send him a he once, and suddenly, he's saying it too. Even if it's not his usual way of laughing, or maybe you have a specific way of typing things, a certain number of extra letters in, goo-wooed, or a favorite emoji like, and you start to see that popping up in his messages. Not because he's trying to imitate you, but because emotionally, he's sensing with you. That's what love does. It tunes a person in so closely to someone else that they start speaking in the same emotional language. When a guy is deeply in love, it's like his texting self becomes a reflection of how connected he feels to you. He starts to match your energy. If you're being playful, he plays right back. If you're being soft, suddenly he responds with more tenderness too. It's a dance he's doing without even realizing the steps, because his emotional state is taking the lead. And it's more than just matching a tone. It's about mirroring your world. You say something like, "I'm binging this one show. It's kind of my guilty pleasure." And 3 days later, he's watched 2 episodes. Why? Not because he's suddenly a die-hard fan, but because he wants to understand what you love. He wants to speak your language, even if that means diving into a world that wasn't his before you showed up in it. That's mirroring. That's what connection looks like when it's real. He also starts referencing your words back to you. If you've got a weird little catchphrase or a goofy way of saying something, it ends up in his texts. And it's not just banter. It's his way of saying, "I'm paying attention. I remember. I care about the things that make you, you." The more deeply he feels for you, the more these little echoes of you begin to show up in his texts. You don't have to ask him to remember anything. He just does, because you're on his radar constantly. And here's where it gets really interesting. When you're having a bad day, his texts start to mirror your emotions, not just your style. If you're feeling anxious, he becomes more reassuring. If you're tired, he softens. If you're excited, he matches that excitement. That's not performance. That's emotional presence. It's someone tuning in so closely to your wavelength that they can feel what you're feeling and reflect it back to you in a way that makes you feel safe, understood, and never alone. There's no ego in this kind of texting. There's no, "Well, she took 2 hours to reply, so I'll take 3. That mindset disappears. Instead, the rhythm between you becomes intuitive. You send something light-hearted, he matches it with the same playful energy. You send something vulnerable, and you notice he drops his guard too. He doesn't run from the depth. He leans into it, sometimes without even realizing he's doing it. And here's what's beautiful about that. This kind of mirroring builds emotional intimacy faster than almost anything else, because you start to feel like the two of you are speaking the same private language. Your texts start to feel like they live in their own little world, a space where no one else quite fits, where everything feels just a little more special, a little more sacred. You start saying things at the same time, sending the same meme before you even open each other's messages. He finishes your thought before you've typed it. You both reference the same inside joke in different contexts. That's not coincidence. That's emotional alignment. That's the quiet but powerful sign that your connection has depth. And that he's not just texting you, he's feeling with you. And maybe the most telling part of it is that he doesn't even notice it happening. He doesn't realize how much of your phrasing he's adopted. He doesn't realize that his Spotify playlist is slowly becoming filled with your music. He doesn't realize he started using punctuation and emojis the way you do. It's not forced. It's not calculated. That's what makes it so real. Because when a man is deeply in love, he doesn't just want to be close to you. He wants to feel close to you. And that means texting in a way that reflects not just his personality, but yours too. Because when you love someone, their presence starts to live inside everything you do. That's when you know he's not just replying to your messages. He's responding to you. One of the most powerful signs that a man is deeply in love, and something that's so easy to miss if you're not looking for it, is the way he remembers the little things you say, especially over text. It's not just about the big dates, the obvious milestones, or the dramatic declarations. It's in those quiet moments when he shows you I'm listening. I care. And I'm keeping track, even when you don't realize it. You might casually mention that you've got a dentist appointment on Thursday. Nothing major. Just a quick text in the middle of a conversation. But then Thursday rolls around, and out of nowhere, he sends you, "Hey, good luck today. Hope it goes okay. Let me know how you feel after." And in that moment, your heart does a little flip, not because of the words themselves. They're simple, but because it means he stored that information. He didn't have to. You didn't remind him, but it mattered to you, so it mattered to him. That's what happens when someone's emotionally invested. They become tuned into the details of your life. Not just the headlines, but the footnotes. The small things you barely think twice about when you say them. The things most people let slip through the cracks. He doesn't forget them because to him, they're clues to understanding you more deeply. You might tell him about a stressful situation at work, or that your mom hasn't been feeling well lately, or that your favorite snack is a certain weird flavor of chips you can never find. And the next time it comes up, he brings it up first. You get a message like, "Hey, did your manager finally get back to you about that meeting?" Or, "I was at the store and guess what I found? Those chips you love. Grabbed 2 bags." Those texts don't come from someone who's half listening. They come from someone who's thinking about you even when you're not texting. Someone who's tracking the little threads of your life because they want to stay connected to all of it. And here's what makes it even more special. He's not doing it to score points. There's no, "Look how thoughtful I am," energy behind it. He's not announcing his good behavior like it deserves a gold star. He just does it, quietly, naturally, without fanfare. Because caring about you has become instinctive. That's what real love looks like. It's not loud. It's not showy. It's present. And the more you talk to him, the more you realize he's building this mental map of you. He knows what your Tuesday evenings look like. He remembers which friend you're going to dinner with this weekend. He checks in before your flight, your exam, your interview, even if you only mentioned it once. It's like he's gently holding all these little pieces of you and treating them like they're valuable, because they are to him. This is the kind of emotional investment that most people overlook in the early stages because it's not dramatic. But honestly, it's one of the most underrated signs that someone's falling in love. Because it takes their effort to remember details. And not just effort, it takes care. It means he's paying attention even when you're not asking him to. Even when there's no reward or recognition. And that's how you know it's sincere. Think about it. How often do we feel deeply connected to people who make us feel seen? Not just heard in the moment, but remembered afterward. When a guy remembers the things that matter to you, he's not just being thoughtful. He's building trust. He's showing you that your world is becoming part of his world. That he's not here for convenience. He's here for depth. And this kind of care shows up in surprising ways. Maybe you offhandedly mentioned that rainy days make you feel kind of low. And then the next rainy day, you get a text from him. "Thought of you when I saw the weather." Sending you something cozy, check your inbox. And it's a playlist, or a funny meme, or a food delivery. Doesn't matter what it is. What matters is he noticed and he showed up. That's love. That's the kind of love that doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It creates one, using the information you casually shared, because he wants you to feel supported, even from a distance. And this isn't just about what he remembers. It's also about how he brings it back up. It's not mechanical. It's not robotic. It's not like he's checking off a list. It feels organic because it's woven into his genuine interest in your well-being. It's part of his instinct to care for you, to protect your emotional space, to be a consistent, reliable presence, even through something as simple as a text. You start to realize that every time he remembers something small, it adds another thread to the bond between you. You don't have to repeat yourself. You don't have to explain things. You don't have to wonder if he's really paying attention. You feel it. Not through grand declarations, but through thoughtful replies and timed check-ins. And when someone makes you feel that seen, that understood, over and over again, it's not just love. It's love that's rooted, love that listens, love that stays. There's a moment when a man is truly and deeply in love, where his texts stop being a way to maintain the conversation and start becoming a reflection of how often you cross his mind. That's when you start getting those just because messages, the ones that don't need a reason, don't follow a pattern, and don't come with an agenda. They're not responding to something you said, or trying to make plans, or checking off some imaginary relationship box. They're just expressions, unfiltered, uncalculated moments of connection that come from love that doesn't need a special occasion to speak. You might be in the middle of a regular Tuesday, no conversation happening, no major event going on, and then suddenly your phone lights up, I miss you, just that. Or maybe, you came into my mind out of nowhere, and now I can't stop smiling. Maybe it's a photo of something random he saw on the street that reminded him of an inside joke you shared 2 weeks ago. Or a voice note that just says, I don't really have anything important to say. I just wanted to hear your voice. And the beautiful thing is, those messages don't have to be long or poetic or perfectly timed. In fact, that's what makes them feel so real. They're raw, unprompted. They slip into your day like a warm breeze. And they say one simple thing, you matter to me, even in the quiet moments. Especially in the quiet moments. It's easy to express affection when it's expected. Birthdays, anniversaries, late night conversations. Those are the obvious places. But when someone reaches out at 3:11 p.m. on a Thursday just to tell you they thought of you while listening to a song, or sends a photo of the sky because it looked like something you'd paint, that's different. That's someone whose love doesn't live in moments. It lives in them. It moves with them, and it finds its way to you whether you asked for it or not. You'll start to notice that you don't have to initiate anymore. He'll just arrive in your day. You'll wake up to a text that says, I hope you slept well. I had the weirdest dream about us at a carnival. You were cheating at ring toss. And suddenly, you're laughing before you've even brushed your teeth. You didn't prompt that. You didn't have to. Because he's already thinking of you, even while he's dreaming. This is the kind of texting that doesn't revolve around logistics. It's not just, what time should we meet? Or, are you free this weekend? It's him bringing you into his inner world just because he wants you there. It's him saying, this moment felt incomplete without sharing it with you. And that is intimacy. That's someone trying to build something that breathes, that lives between the cracks of everyday life. Not just in the big declarations, but in the soft, random check-ins. Even when he's busy, the effort is still there. You'll get a short message while he's running between meetings. Can't talk long, but I just wanted you to know I'm thinking of you. Not a long message. not a deep conversation. But it's a thread. A reminder that he hasn't left the connection just because his schedule is full. When a man's in love, he doesn't let the day sweep him away from you without anchoring that bond, even in a tiny way. And sometimes it's not words at all. Sometimes it's a reel he sends that he knows you'll laugh at, or a photo of a coffee cup that looks like the one you always order, or a song link with a message that says, "This gave me chills, reminds me of you." These small moments become your emotional shorthand. They're the punctuation in your shared story. They say more than 1,000 lines of text ever could. What's important to understand is that these just because messages don't start as grand gestures. They grow from the everyday. And over time, they begin to stack up. Not in a flashy way, but in a way that builds something strong, quiet, and deeply meaningful. You start to feel woven into each other's days, like you've taken up permanent residence in each other's thoughts. And it works both ways. You'll find yourself doing it too. Sending him things that made you think of him, saying, "Hey, I know you're busy, but I saw this and had to send it." And that reciprocity creates something incredibly rare, emotional closeness that doesn't rely on constant communication to survive. It lives in the intention, in the presence, in the way you both keep showing up, not just when it's convenient or dramatic or urgent, but when it's nothing. When it's just a quiet thought, a simple feeling, a moment that didn't have to be shared, but was. That's when you know the love is deep. When even silence becomes something he wants to fill with you.